Yeah, look, Minister, you mentioned in the response, I have a question here tabled with regard to the commencement of an affordable purchase scheme, and you've given some response to Deputy O'Brien there. You have mentioned, look, we can't fix these things in 2 years, and that's fine, but there's been 7 years, nearly 8 years, okay? What I'm concerned about, and we can go back and forth on this all the is when. You've mentioned you signed a commencement order in the affordable scheme. Good. When will the regulations come in? I brought a motion to the House on the 17th of May that was voted down to commence an affordable housing scheme. We need it urgently. The additional 50 million, I would welcome that, but the 25 million that's there equates to about 400 units, which will be about 16, if your target was 400 affordable purchase units, the 25 million equates to about €16,000 per site, so I'm not sure how that would actually make a dent in affordability. So how far down the line are you with regard to regulations for an affordable homes scheme, setting the parameters for the scheme, and what's your thoughts around that as to who could apply and income thresholds?
Can I get the Ministers 1 minute?
Thank you, Scancorla, and thank you, Deputy, for the question. This isn't 8 years in the making. I mean, let's be quite clear about that. House prices were still falling in 2012. The affordability scheme was stood down because there was an affordability issue in the country at that time. Only in 2014 did we come out of the bailout. But it was in 2016 that the Fine Gael Labour government put in place Rebuilding Ireland and a dedicated ministry and dedicated funding ring-fence for the first time to actually make sure that we could get the housing sector, restore it, but restore it in a way that we wouldn't make the mistakes of the past. A part of that was obviously a dedication to local authorities building social housing homes and not outsourcing it to the private sector, but also was removing some of the obstacles for the private sector to build, and that's happening. But we have to make sure that affordability is there. So in the example that I gave to Deputy O'Brien, if we are saying 40,000 is a subvention from the department to a local authority for site works, if they then estimate the land value at, say, €30,000, maybe it's €40,000, that would be €80,000 coming off the price of a house. If it was going to be on the market at $320,000, $350,000, that is a significant drop down in the price of that house for that person, and that will be affordable. What we were talking about this is applying for people similar to the undertakings under the Rebuilding Ireland Home Loan. An individual earning a gross income of €50,000 or a couple earning a gross income of €75,000. Each local authority will have to run a lottery scheme in their area based on each scheme as they come online. And in relation to the regulations, next week I will put out a call to local authorities for the sites that they want to use this fund on, but they've already done that work. We just need to have a formal process about me saying to the local authorities, now give me the sites that you've looked at. These are the 10 key local authorities where we know the affordability pressure is greatest. A lot of work has been done on the regulations as well. The actual Act, though, prescribes quite a bit of what you can and can't do. So it's just a question of some of the parameters. I'll be writing to the Joint Oireachtas Committee, I think, later this week to ask for your input on that. We can do this in the next 4 weeks, no problem. The key thing is that the local authorities know that the money is there, and they are doing that work now around their sites. Thank you.
So there's some clarity there on it. I'm glad we're moving at last with regulations to establish the scheme. It's still unclear to me if we pick 10 local authorities as to income thresholds. I think we need to look at that. You've mentioned certain income thresholds around the Rebuilding Ireland home loan. You know, couples earning 70,000, 80,000 in Dublin and in Galway and in Cork can't buy houses right now. They're the ones who are paying 16, 18, €2,000 per month in rent, and they can't save for it. So I think we've got to look at some flexibility on that. I know there are some in the House that would think that a couple earning 80, 90,000 are loaded. They're not. Okay, these are the couples who, you know, are paying rent, are paying for childcare, are paying for everything, and are getting nothing. Now, I think we should all work together to establish a scheme that works and establish it very, very quickly. I would take you to task on one element. It wasn't a question of do social housing and now we're moving on to affordable housing. We haven't done social housing yet either. So I'm just looking for a time frame in my supplementary. Your expectation, is it to have this scheme up and running before the summer? Are you open to looking at regional affordability? And I think that's where you need to go, because there's different wages in different parts of the country and different thresholds for what would be deemed as affordable. I think we need to look at that regional flexibility. The Greater Dublin area may have a different regional affordability than the Midlands or Ulster, for argument's sake. So that, we need to have that flexibility. I don't want to see a whole cohort of people who are left out of being able to purchase. Home ownership rates now have dropped to the lowest in generations. 69% we're down to. So I don't want a generation of people condemned to a rip-off rental market.